Welcome to the dumbest corner of humanity. 101 ridiculous US customer complaints that'll make you laugh, cringe, and seriously wonder if evolution took a wrong turn. From people demanding refunds because their ice melted to those outraged that Wi-Fi isn't visible, these complaints are so dumb, they make flat earthers look reasonable. Want to feel instantly more intelligent? Smash that like button, because once we start, there's no going back, and you'll need the validation. 1. A tropical paradise turned into a nightmare for one vacationing couple when they made a shocking discovery. The ocean was salty. Outraged, they filed a complaint, arguing that the resort should have warned them. Their proposed solution? A designated freshwater section in the sea, because apparently nature needs customer service. 2. A glass company received an unusual email complaint. Someone demanded compensation because their sliding door was too transparent. The furious customer claimed they had walked straight into it and blamed the manufacturer for making glass dangerously invisible. The company suggested adding a sticker for visibility, but the customer refused, saying it would ruin the aesthetic. 3. A woman returned a flashlight, calling it a complete scam. Her reasoning? It only works in the dark. She later suggested flashlight manufacturers create a day mode so the light remains visible at all times, even when unnecessary. Someone introduce her to lamps. 4. A complaint about excessive brightness wasn't directed at a light bulb, a neighbor's floodlight, or even the city. No, this one was sent straight to NASA. "The moon is too bright at night," the letter read. "I demand the government tone it down." NASA has yet to issue a response. 5. My trainer keeps making me exercise. A gym member was deeply unhappy to learn that personal training involves actual movement. Their solution? A motivation-only training program where trainers offer nothing but words of encouragement while clients sit in peace. That's not fitness, that's just paid compliments. 6. A visit to the petting zoo didn't go as planned for one family who expected the animals to remain motionless like statues. Instead, the goats, shockingly, walked up to them. Their official complaint? Too much enthusiasm. Their solution? A special section with reserved animals for those who prefer a more introverted petting experience. 7. The Grand Canyon's biggest flaw, according to one tourist? The alarming lack of handrails. In their furious review, they called it reckless and proposed a solution: surround the entire thing with protective glass, because nothing enhances a natural wonder like turning it into a giant fish tank. 8. A man was frustrated that his smart speaker didn't give him life advice. I asked it, "What's my biggest fear?" and it just ignored me. How is it smart if it doesn't even know me? Sir, what you need isn't artificial intelligence, it's therapy. 9. Do you sell wireless extension cords? A customer at an electronics store was unimpressed when told such a thing doesn't exist. Their response? "Oh, so you're saying science just gave up on that?" No, sir. Science gave you batteries. 10. Someone left a scathing review for sunglasses, furious that they didn't work at night. I put them on in the dark and guess what? Still dark? Total scam. Their suggestion? Sunglasses with a night mode. Sir, that's just your eyes. 11. A clock was returned with an angry note attached. Moves forward only. The buyer was outraged that they couldn't rewind time using it. Their solution? A bi-directional clock that lets users relive moments. Sounds like someone just pitched a time machine. 12. Your employees are too happy. That was the formal complaint a theme park received from a guest who found the constant smiles unsettling. Their suggestion? Introduce a few mildly irritated workers to balance the energy. Because clearly, a theme park should feel more like a Monday morning office meeting. 13. How do I know my package is actually in transit? The tracking page showed out for delivery, but that wasn't enough. I need real-time proof, maybe a live stream of the box, or at least hourly photos. When told that's impossible, they sighed. Guess I just have to trust the system. That's a lot to ask. 14. A complaint was filed because the store played the same song twice in one visit. I was in there for 45 minutes and suddenly, Boom, same song as earlier. Do you know what that does to a person? The company considered adding a DJ booth for live set lists. 15. A customer demanded an apology because a call center agent didn't sound enthusiastic enough. He helped me, sure, but where was the passion? Where was the joy? The agent had resolved the issue in under a minute, but the real problem? I didn't feel like a valued customer. The company later considered hiring Broadway actors for phone support. 16. Buying a high-end vacuum and then returning it for being too good at its job. That's exactly what one man did. "It's too efficient," he complained. "I vacuumed once and it picked up everything. Now I have nothing left to do." His suggested solution? A model that leaves just a little dirt behind, so cleaning still feels like an accomplishment. 17. Some people misunderstand sushi. And then there's this guy. After ordering sashimi, he was horrified to discover it was raw fish. His defense? He thought raw was just a style of cooking. Offered a cooked alternative, he declined, because now he felt tricked. 18. Skiing became a nightmare for one resort guest when they discovered a shocking flaw. The slopes were slippery. "How am I supposed to ski when the ground keeps moving under me?" they fumed. Their proposed fix? Friction zones, so people could pause mid-ski, otherwise known as standing still. 19. Vanilla perfume smelling like vanilla? Unacceptable, at least according to one woman at a perfume counter. "This says vanilla dreams, but it only smells like vanilla," she scoffed. The employee pointed out that was the intended scent, but she shook her head. "Well, I expected more of a journey." 20. An email to customer service started with, "Why are you ignoring me?" The customer had sent their first message 8 minutes earlier. "If you cared about customers, you would have dropped everything the moment I hit send." When they finally got a reply, they responded 4 days later with, "Oh, sorry, just seeing this now." 21. Relaxation went too far for one spa visitor. Expecting to feel good after a massage, she instead felt like a melting candle, which apparently was unacceptable. Her request: a mid-level relaxation option for those who prefer to hold on to just a little bit of tension in their soul. 22. At 2 a.m., the front desk of a hotel received an urgent complaint. The issue: a pillow that was too fluffy. Whispering into the phone, the guest explained, "It's suspiciously comfortable, like it's trying to trick me into oversleeping." When offered a firmer pillow, they sighed, "No, I'll fight through it." A battle against comfort itself had begun. 23. A woman refused to believe the store was really closed just because the doors were locked. "There are lights on inside. There are products on the shelves. If it's really closed, then why is the building still here?" Security suggested she return during operating hours. "So now I have to follow your schedule?" Unreal. 24. While admiring Mount Rushmore, a tourist had an important question for a park ranger. Do they light up at night? Upon learning that the president's faces remain unilluminated, they shook their head in disappointment. "Missed opportunity," they muttered. "They should at least blink sometimes." It seems someone was expecting animatronics instead of national landmarks. 25. A return request at a home goods store left employees speechless. A woman brought back wind chimes, upset that they made noise without permission. "I didn't ask them to chime," she argued. "They just go off whenever the wind wants." Her proposed solution? An on-off switch? Or, just taking them down. 26. Someone was angry that their phone bill arrived before they were emotionally ready to pay it. "It's due on the 15th, but I got it on the 5th? That's 10 days of stress I didn't need." They suggested phone companies should wait until customers feel financially ready before sending bills. 27. A drive-thru employee braced for impact as a customer began yelling. The complaint? They weren't able to watch their food being made. "How do I know it's real?" they demanded. When told that kitchens aren't visible for a reason, they muttered, "Suspicious." By this logic, one has to wonder, do they question the entire concept of restaurants? 28. One airline traveler wasn't concerned about delays, turbulence, or legroom. No, his biggest issue was that the pilot didn't personally greet him. I paid for a ticket. The least he could do is shake my hand before takeoff, he argued. After being told pilots typically remain in the cockpit, he muttered, "Sounds like they're avoiding accountability." Ah yes, because what this flight really needed was a personal meet and greet at 30,000 feet. 29. A lakeside resort received an unusual noise complaint. The offenders? Ducks. They quack whenever they feel like it, the guest fumed. This is a hotel, not a wildlife concert. Their proposed fix? Train the ducks to remain silent during designated relaxation hours. Unfortunately, ducks are not known for respecting hotel policies. 30. A customer demanded a refund because they weren't warned their new printer needed ink. You mean to tell me I buy this thing for $200 and now I have to keep feeding it? Maybe mention that before I commit to this toxic relationship. 31. Luxury shopping took a strange turn when a woman rejected a designer handbag, not for its style, but for its weight. A real designer bag has heft, she insisted. I don't want people thinking I'm carrying something cheap. The store clerk, thinking fast, suggested adding a brick for status purposes. Her response, a satisfied nod. 32. A disappointed customer returned a globe, claiming it didn't spin fast enough. If I give it a hard spin, I should at least feel some movement. No, sir, you should feel a reality check. 33. A bowl of soup arrived at a restaurant table, only to be sent back moments later. The reason? It's acting like a liquid, the diner complained. I expected more structure. The waiter gently reminded him that soup, by definition, is liquid. But he wasn't convinced. Nah, something's off. 34. A customer accused the store's self-checkout machine of judging them. I scanned an item, and the screen paused for a second, like it was thinking about my choices. The energy was weird. They suggested adding a friendly mode, where the screen gives encouraging comments like, "Great choice." 35. Slicing bread is apparently too much to ask for one particular shopper. After attempting to return a loaf, they explained, "The slices are too even. I like variety. A few thick ones, some super thin ones. This feels robotic." When an employee suggested simply cutting them to preference, the response was pure horror. I didn't buy bread to do work. 36. Shopping for a diamond ring should be simple unless you're this woman. One was too sparkly and looked fake, but when offered a less polished stone, she frowned. Now this one looks too real. I need something between real and fake. Congratulations, ma'am. You've just invented cubic zirconia. 37. A hotel guest's biggest grievance wasn't the service or the cleanliness. It was the fact that his window didn't open all the way. I wanted fresh air, he argued. When staff explained that this was a safety feature, he scoffed, "Oh, so now you're telling me how to breathe?" No, sir. They're telling you how to not fall out of a building. 38. Your hold music made me feel too calm. I was angry when I called, but after 5 minutes of your soothing jazz, I forgot why I was mad. And now my issue is solved, but I feel like I lost something. The company suggested adding rage mode, hold music, featuring aggressive rock and alarm sounds. Year 39. One man walked into a tech store determined to buy a smartphone, just not one with a touchscreen. I don't trust touch technology, he explained. I want buttons, big ones. Shown a model with physical keys, he shook his head. No, this still feels modern. Do you have, like, a rotary smartphone? What he was really looking for was a landline. 40. Too much fizz? That was the shocking complaint a fast food restaurant received about their soda. I wanted carbonation, but not, like, that much, the customer explained. Their solution? A new drink category, semi-sparkling for people who prefer their sodas to be mentally bubbly but emotionally flat. 41. A man wanted a refund because customer support was too friendly. The rep laughed at my jokes, said my issue was no problem, and even wished me a great day. It was too much positivity. I need neutrality from a company. I'm here for solutions, not friendship. 42. A moviegoer walked out mid-film, visibly frustrated. His issue: the actors weren't acknowledging the audience. I expected at least a nod in my direction, he explained. After being told that movies don't involve live interaction, he sighed. Then what's the point of going in person? Someone get this man a theater ticket. 43. I'd like to buy some Wi-Fi, a customer confidently stated at an electronics store. When the employee tried to explain that Wi-Fi isn't a physical product, the man doubled down. But it says wireless, so why can't you just hand it to me? He later suggested that companies start selling Wi-Fi in bottles for easy transport. 44. A customer demanded to know why hold music wasn't personalized. If you know I've called before, why are you playing the same generic song? Maybe throw in something based on my taste. I've been on hold for 40 minutes, at least make it a vibe. Somewhere, a tech company is already patenting AI-generated hold music. 45. A zoo received a formal complaint regarding its penguins. The issue? They weren't penguin-y enough. I expected synchronized waddling, maybe some sliding, the visitor wrote. Instead, the birds were just standing there. Their solution? A mandatory entertainment schedule for the animals. The penguins, unfortunately, were unavailable for comment. 46. One driver learned the hard way that high-quality tires are not in fact invincible. After running over a nail, he called the dealership in fury. I paid extra for premium rubber, he argued, so why didn't it defend itself? His suggestion? The invention of self-healing tires, because apparently physics is just an option. 47. Your employee looked at me suspiciously. No words were exchanged, no interaction occurred. But apparently the look alone was offensive. It wasn't a mean look, just a look. I want an apology. The manager checked the security footage. The employee in question? A mannequin. 48. One dissatisfied map user had a very specific complaint. Their house was too small. How are people supposed to find it? They wrote in a letter to a map-making company. Their proposed fix? Maps should include zoomed-in sections so users can see their exact location at all times. Or, they could just use Google Maps. 49. A driver filed a formal complaint because the GPS voice sounded too bossy. It told me to turn left now, like, excuse me? Maybe say turn left if you feel like it, or whenever you're ready. They later requested a navigation mode where the GPS gives gentle suggestions instead of commands. 50. A fitness tracker user wasn't thrilled with the constant movement reminders. I take 2 steps, and suddenly it's telling me to move more, he complained. Instead of encouragement, he wanted an option for emotional support stats, where the device would simply tell him he's doing great, without expecting effort. 51. My battery drains faster when I actually use my phone, one man angrily told tech support. The agent, struggling to hold back laughter, gently explained, "That's how batteries work." Unconvinced, the man muttered, "Sounds like a design flaw. Sounds like someone doesn't understand electricity." 52. A driver couldn't understand why his fuel gauge kept dropping as he used his car. I filled up on Monday and now it's already half gone, he ranted. His proposed solution? A setting where cars use less fuel when the driver isn't in the mood to refill. That setting does exist, it's called walking. 53. Expecting something high-tech, a shopper was disappointed with their sunglasses. Why do they only make things darker? They asked. I thought they'd enhance vision, maybe zoom in. When informed that sunglasses aren't binoculars, they sighed. Missed opportunity. They later suggested a version with optional X-ray vision. Absolutely not. 54. A telescope owner fired off an angry email demanding answers. I pointed it at Jupiter and it was still far away, they complained. Their expectation? That a telescope should make planets appear as detailed as NASA photos. What they were actually looking for? A spaceship. 55. Someone demanded a refund on their car's extended warranty because they never had to use it. You said I'd be covered if something went wrong, but nothing did. So what did I pay for? Insurance representatives are still recovering from this conversation. 56. Confusion struck a customer when their Bluetooth speaker refused to play music on its own. It says wireless, but apparently that doesn't mean independent? Frustrated, they suggested all speakers should come with built-in radios, because having to connect a device was simply too much work. 57. A one-star review appeared for a mirror, citing an unexpected flaw. It shows my reflection exactly as I look. The reviewer had hoped for a slight enhancement, maybe a soft glow, maybe a bit of Photoshop. Their request? A version that provides real-time touch-ups. So, a Snapchat filter, basically. 58. An electric toothbrush found itself returned for one peculiar reason. It doesn't know when to stop, the customer complained. They had tested it by brushing for 6 minutes, waiting to see if it would shut off on its own. When told they had to decide when to stop, they groaned, "That's too much pressure." 59. A customer asked for a repair refund because their device fixed itself. I scheduled an appointment, but now it's working fine. What, did it sense I was about to spend money and get scared? The company tried explaining that electronics sometimes glitch. The response? Or maybe you secretly fixed it remotely. 60. A woman, clearly new to the concept of books, demanded a refund after finishing one. "Now what am I supposed to do with it?" she ranted. When offered another book, she sighed, "So I'm just expected to keep buying them?" Yes, that is in fact how books work. 61. A fan owner had a complaint that left customer service speechless. "It only works when plugged in," they fumed. "I expected freedom." Offered the option of a battery-powered model, they sighed, "Oh, so now I have to maintain it." Apparently, charging a device was a deal-breaker. 62. A man demanded his money back because customer service was too fast. I submitted my request and within 10 minutes they fixed my issue. That's suspiciously efficient. I almost feel like my problem was too easy for them. If I'd known it wasn't a big deal, I wouldn't have bothered calling. 63. A customer spent half an hour arguing over a missing sneaker in a pair. "The box says pair, but I only got a left shoe," they insisted. After some back and forth, the rep gently suggested they check the other foot. A long silence followed before they quietly hung up. 64. A customer insisted on returning their windshield wipers because they only seemed to work when it rained. I tried using them on a sunny day, and all they did was make an annoying squeaky sound, they explained. When asked why they needed wipers in dry weather, they simply shrugged and walked away. 65. A man burst into a battery store, furious that AA batteries eventually ran out. "I keep buying them, and they keep dying. What kind of scam is this?" When the clerk suggested rechargeable ones, he scoffed. "Oh, so now I have to put in effort? I thought we lived in the future." 66. One-star review. "This hourglass is broken. It only works in one direction. I flip it over and the sand just restarts instead of rewinding time." The reviewer then suggested that future hourglasses come with a reverse function to improve time management. 67. A customer returned a thermometer, convinced it was defective. "It gave me 98.6 this morning, and now it says 99.1 at night. Which is it? I need a thermometer that makes up its mind." The store employee, trying not to laugh, gently explained how body temperature works. 68. A man was deeply disappointed in his smoke detector. "So it only beeps when there's actual smoke? What if I just want a little check-in noise now and then?" He suggested the company make a version that randomly beeps just to say hi. "Sir, that's called an alarm clock." 69. A driver sent a furious complaint to their car manufacturer. "Your windshield wipers are useless. I drove through a cloud of gnats and they didn't even clean the glass properly." When customer service suggested they wash their car, they snapped, "Why should I have to do extra work? Wipers should have a bug removal mode." 70. I want a discount because my order was too perfect. The item arrived on time, in perfect condition, exactly as expected. This level of flawless service makes me feel like I overpaid. There should be at least one minor inconvenience to balance things out. 71. A customer stormed out of an electronics store, furious that TVs couldn't play shows before they aired. "I don't want to wait for next week's episode. Just give me a TV that can skip ahead in time." When the employee explained that wasn't possible, he muttered, "Guess humanity just isn't as advanced as I thought." 72. A formal complaint was submitted regarding a toddler's toy car. The issue? Not road legal. The frustrated father argued that the box never explicitly stated it couldn't be driven in traffic. His disappointment peaked when a cop pulled him over, forcing him to explain that, yes, it was in fact just a plastic toy. 73. A man insisted the weather forecast should come with an emotion warning. Telling me it'll rain is not enough. I need to know. Will this be a sad rain? A romantic rain? A chaotic storm? Give me some context so I can mentally prepare. The meteorologist took a deep breath. 74. Your security guard didn't stop me from making a bad decision. The customer had bought a 75-inch TV only to realize at home that it didn't fit through the door. He watched me leave with it, didn't even warn me. The manager explained that security guards aren't trained to protect people from their own choices. 75. One-star review. I ordered invisible ink, but the bottle was empty. The reviewer later confessed that they had poured it out just to check if anything was inside. Spoiler alert, that's exactly how invisible ink works. 76. A man walked into a store to return his binoculars, convinced they were faulty. I zoomed in on a bird, but when I took the binoculars away, the bird was still far away. He then suggested inventing binoculars that could make objects permanently closer. That's not zoom, sir, that's teleportation. 77. A customer refused to accept a hiking map because it didn't predict when they would get tired. It says 2.3 miles, but that means nothing. It should tell me exactly how long it'll take based on my speed. When informed that walking pace varies, they threw up their hands. Well, fix that then. 78. A man stared at a flash drive in frustration before storming up to the cashier. How am I supposed to know what's inside without opening it? He suggested that all flash drives should come with a built-in screen for previewing files. That's just a computer, sir. 79. Your company name is misleading. The store was called Speedy Shipping, but their order took 4 days. I don't care about standard processing times. If you call yourself Speedy, I expect my package to be delivered instantly, or at least by teleportation. 80. A customer contacted an escalator manufacturer with a bold request. A pause button. Not everyone wants to move constantly, they explained. Sometimes I need a break mid-ride. When informed that's called an elevator, they muttered, yeah, well, not everything needs to have rules. 81. Why do I have to return my defective item before getting a replacement? So, you're telling me that before I get a new one, I have to give this one back? That sounds risky. The company assured them that's how exchanges work. Seems like a trust issue on your end. 82. I called to cancel my subscription and you let me do it too easily. There was no resistance, no special offers to make me stay. It almost felt like you wanted me to leave. That hurt. The company later considered implementing mandatory emotional breakup conversations. 83. A trampoline was returned to the store with a complaint that it launched the user too high. I wanted a controlled bounce not to be sent into orbit, the customer wrote. The manual clearly stated, bounces will vary, but they insisted on a model with adjustable height settings. Sir, that's not a feature. That's just called jumping less. 84. A book publisher received an angry letter about a novel's ending. I spent 10 hours reading this only to have the wrong outcome, the reader fumed. They suggested that books should come with multiple endings so customers could choose the right one for their personal enjoyment. Hate to break it to you, but that's not literature. That's fan fiction. 85. An office worker had a philosophical crisis over a stapler. It commits too fast, they complained. What if I change my mind? Why is there no reverse staple function? A coworker silently handed them a paperclip. A long pause followed. Oh, they muttered. That's an interesting idea. 86. A woman returned her reading glasses with an unusual complaint. They don't make me read faster. She had expected enhanced processing speed, but instead, she still had to go through every word like a regular person. Her proposed solution? A built-in summarization feature. What she's looking for isn't glasses, it's an audiobook. 87. Your employee didn't seem happy to be working here. The cashier scanned the items, bagged them, and said, "Have a nice day." But something felt off. There was no spark in their eyes, No passion for the job. Why should I be excited to shop here if they don't look excited to be alive? 88. A clothing brand faced an unexpected lawsuit when a woman claimed their one-size-fits-all hat didn't fit her dog. The tag literally says all, she argued. When told that all referred to human heads, she accused the company of species discrimination. Her proposed alternative? Make hats more universally adaptable. Ma'am, that already exists. It's called a bag. 89. A woman demanded a refund for her gloves, arguing that they only kept her hands warm while being worn. They work fine when I have them on, she admitted, but the second I take them off, nothing. She later suggested a version that projects heat even when not in use. Ma'am, you just described a radiator. 90. A driver was outraged that maps don't update in real time. After passing a construction site that wasn't marked, he fired off an angry email to the map company. How am I supposed to navigate? Just guess where new roads are. Someone needs to tell him that reality isn't a live-stream GPS feed. 91. A man was deeply disappointed in his photo album. Why do I have to print and place pictures myself? Shouldn't it update automatically when I take new photos? Sounds like he was expecting a physical version of his phone's camera roll. 92. A frustrated cyclist had a serious complaint. Every time I stop pedaling, my bike leans. That's a design flaw. When someone suggested training wheels, he scoffed. So I have to modify my bike just to make it do its job? Sir, no. Bikes just work that way. 93. A man contacted a mirror company with a very specific demand. An undo button for bad hair days. I fixed my hair 3 times, but the mirror keeps showing the messed up version. Sir, that's not the mirror's problem. That's just your hair. 94. Time flies when you're checking the clock? A woman called customer service in distress. I looked at it at 2 o'clock, checked again later, and it was already 4:15. Why is time speeding up? She was gently informed that's just how time works. That can't be right. I demand an investigation. 95. A woman was furious to learn that pens run out of ink. I thought they were like magic wands, endless ink. Nobody told me this had a limit. If that's the expectation, she might be looking for a printer instead. 96. A man wasn't satisfied with his flashlight's brightness at night. It's way too bright in the dark. There should be a setting for just a little light, he argued. Customer service suggested a simple solution. Try not turning it on? 97. Breaking in new shoes was too much effort for one shopper. Why don't companies wear them for a while first, then sell them when they're comfortable? Congratulations, sir. You just invented thrift stores. 98. A woman returned a globe, disappointed that it didn't have local roads marked. I checked my neighborhood. None of my streets are there. How is this supposed to help me get around? Someone please tell her she's holding a decorative object, not a GPS. 99. A woman suspected her car was gaslighting her. I drive and the fuel gauge goes down. Then I refill it, and suddenly it's back up. It's like it changes its mind. The mechanic, wisely, chose not to engage. 100. One customer had serious concerns about their fan. I had plenty of air before I turned it on. Now suddenly there's wind everywhere. Where is it getting this extra air from? Is it borrowing it from somewhere else? Someone needs to sit this person down for a basic physics lesson. 101. Someone expected their blanket to generate its own warmth. I put it on, and it didn't get hot. Are we seriously still relying on body heat in 2025? Their solution? Blankets that produce heat on their own. Congratulations, sir. You've just discovered heated blankets. Well, we just endured 101 US customer complaints so absurd, a toddler could outsmart these clowns. From begging NASA to dim the moon to crying over Wi-Fi not glowing, these people are proof we're one step from chaos. Now prove you're not one of them. Drop a comment with the complaint that made your brain cells abandon ship. Because if you don't, I'll assume you're the genius returning a flashlight for only working in the dark. Smash that like button. If this doesn't deserve it, nothing does. And subscribe unless you're too far gone, or just to see if humanity can sink even lower.